So you're highly.
Thank you. No, it's all cracked. I gotta change it. No, it's the.
It goes like crazy.
I know, but at least it's not cracking the glass. Don't be sorry. Can you just come? Well, not now. I was just saying, can you come give me a hug? But I want to give you a hug. But
All right, Ron.
are you ready there, Mr.
Keep it open just for another minute, but you start the meeting, and then I'm going to lock it down for security reasons.
All right, you got it. Ready to go. Rescheduled monthly meeting. Oh, Phil, you ready? I can't hear Phil.
Sorry, he's good.
Okay, good.
Thanks,
All right, thanks, Phil. Rescheduled monthly meeting of June 24th, 2020 is called to order at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Banta?
Here.
Dr. Cohen?
Here.
Mrs. Frankel?
She's here. She's muted.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Aiken?
Here.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Here.
Mr. Santana?
Not on yet.
Mr. Spindell?
Present.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Here. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Fair Lawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, and sent to the Bergen Record and the Star Ledger. The announcement posting for the rescheduled monthly meeting, along with the date, place, and time thereof, was distributed on June 16, 2020. The items to be discussed during the closed work session, if needed, of the June 24th, 2020 rescheduled monthly meeting may include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations and/or grievances, and tactics and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and the property. The results of these discussions will be made public as soon as possible. We will be having a closed session tonight. Nick, do you have a flag or do I have to pull a flag up?
Cindy has one right there.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. Yeah, you're perfect.
Oh, that's better, yeah.
Can we all
That's nice.
stand and salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
Public
For
for
which
which
it stands,
stands
one nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Norcia, our superintendent, for some of his comments.
Great. Thank you so much. I just want to thank everybody. This is definitely a first for me to end a school year like this. This is a first for everybody to end a school year like this. But being in education for the last 20 years, it's got a weird feel to it. But I think everybody will agree that we're happy that this year is over. We're ready to hit the reset button for next year and start planning for September, which I'll speak about in a minute. But before I do that, I would be remiss if I did not very heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2020, our Fair Lawn High School seniors. They really, a round of applause for them. They really did a great job. They are officially graduated out of Fair Lawn High School. We had a meeting with our student dialogue students today. We said that you are no longer students. We're talking to you as adults and citizens of Fair Lawn at this point, not students anymore now that you officially received your diploma. So we all got a good laugh out of that. I'm very proud of all of our moving up ceremonies, but especially our drive-by graduation this week. Our drive-by graduation was something that was planned out, well planned out and organized. I want to give a huge thank you, besides our Board of Education who supported it, but to our high school administration, Mr. Gorski and Nicole Mattina, and the rest of the high school administration that worked on this, as well as Jimmy Van Kernigan at the borough, Mayor Peluso, Chief Cowles, everybody that came together, including the Fair Lawn Emergency Squad, Fire Department. They were just unbelievable, and there for our students, our staff who lined up all along Verdun. It was really a sight to see, and just what an experience, and how positive, what a positive way to end a school year that unfortunately, got chopped off once due to this pandemic. And it really, I'm not going to lie, I was nervous. What will a drive-by look like? How's it going to, we've never done anything like this before. And it was unbelievable and very emotional. And it was a great send-off for our students and a well-deserved send-off. Not only that, but 15 minutes of, with their families in front of the class of 2020 sign over a 2-week period. And I was able to stop by there a couple times and see the students taking pictures with their families, bringing grandma and grandpa with them and their aunts and uncles, and just having their own 15 minutes as a family to shine and bask in that glory. And it was really, really nice, as well as our virtual graduation. So, I was just thrilled to see that they received a proper send-off. May not be your normal traditional send-off. Nobody's having the normal traditional send-off. They had a proper send-off, and they deserve it.
Yeah, can I add something to that?
Yeah, one second. Let me just finish real quick, if you don't mind. And with that being said, we've been speaking with our students about what a graduation ceremony and what a ceremony could look like for the month of July. We've sent communication out for the week of July 20th doing something. We picked that week because, when the information that's been coming out has not been consistent, and it's been frustrating at times, but we thought, if we pushed it back a little bit in July, that'll give us some time to hopefully see numbers decline, the health and safety of students, and you're not pushing it back to August. So there were many reasons, in addition to the fact that to have a drive-by, to have a virtual, to have 2 weeks of planning of 15-minute, photos with the families. There's a lot of planning and there's a lot of administration that goes into that. So to have a graduation that you plan right on top of that right away is really time consuming. So there are many reasons why we pushed it off to the week of July 20th. We are going to stick with that week at this point because we told families that, and people have arranged vacations around that and moved things around. However, in speaking with our students, and we've met with our students several times already, and most recently this morning, we met with them for a good hour and a half or so, and we had a great conversation with them. And there's a lot of feelings of, is the ceremony is going to be very different. But is the ceremony going to be several ceremonies because we have to break up our class to follow the executive order of the governor? Or is it going to be one ceremony with just the students? And, this is a decision that is not an easy decision. And we've seen many districts go both ways, with this decision. So what we decided today was we are going to survey our families. We're going to survey our families. And that's what I'm saying. We're not surveying the parents and we're not surveying the students. We're asking that the families sit down as a family and answer this honestly together with one survey result. And it's going to be several options. Yes, the students are asking that they have one last time that they could be together as a class. And, if, the survey results come back overwhelming that this is what the students want, then we may honor that. If the survey results come back the other way, that we do 3 ceremonies and every family gets 2 tickets, then we may honor that. But, right now, we think it's best that we survey the families and see what the community wants and what the community is asking for. So there's going to be a survey that's coming out. No decision is made at this moment, but we are working with the students. We are not making this decision top down by any means. We're trying to work together, and it was a very good meeting tonight with our adults, not our students now. And it will, and so I will be reporting back out to you, but the survey will probably be going out over the next couple of days. It'll probably be going up by the end of this week, and hopefully the results will be in by next week. But we are looking forward to seeing those results. I have a feeling I don't want to say I have an inkling on which way they'll go, because I know a lot of people are torn on this. But, the nice thing is that the families were part of that 15 minutes. The families were in the car in the drive-by, so they did have a really nice time to celebrate together. And I know a lot of people had virtual graduation parties where the families came together and put a big screen up in their backyard and watched it together. So I know that the families were part of that. And we've done so much to honor our students, and we will continue to do that the right way. Rowan, you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, I want to thank everybody, like you said, from the administration, from the board, the administration down, everybody in the town. It was very well organized down at Memorial, getting all the cars in order and parking spots, fire department, as you said, heavy rescue, everybody, people that lined up along Burdan Avenue. And to be honest with you, a lot of people reached out to me, parents of students like myself, who said that they actually enjoyed it a lot better than a regular graduation ceremony because it was just more personal. And they said that, and when they first heard it, they weren't sure, but they said at the end of the day, they loved it. And like I said, I want to thank all the teachers that were there to cheer the students on and everything else. They hadn't seen them in about 3 months. So it was really, really nice. And I just wanted everybody to know that my son enjoyed it tremendously. So I wanted to
It was long and hot and really hot, and but it was really fun to see. I mean, you saw one car come by with a shark fin on the top, a cutout on the top of the car, who was dressed as a shark popping out of the top of the car, who had the congratulations 2020 and the 0 and the 0 and 20. There were toilet papers. I mean, it was really, it was funny and fun and really nice and classy. So it was, Mike?
I enjoyed the motorcycle the best, but
That was awesome.
I have to say that I don't think, first of all, it was graduation weather. It was the same graduation weather. If we had it at night at Sasso Field, it would have been about 120 degrees on the field, which is typical of our graduations. And I got the same feedback as Ronnie did. As far as the parents loved it and the kids loved it. A lot of people, unfortunately, ding their tires against the going over the curb, but it was that was the kind of fun part, seeing how many cars went over the curb. But everyone really seemed to appreciate it, and definitely Paul Gorski. I don't know how he lasted the whole time because that was difficult. And Nicole Mattina did a phenomenal job organizing a lot of it. So really good job, Nick. Please send them that note.
Moving on. So update on reopening of schools, sitting on the edge of our seat, just like everybody. We were hoping, the governor said this week or maybe next week, where every day I'm watching, I'm actually looking at the news an hour before because it usually leaks it an hour before and that's when we find out. But we're watching and waiting. However, what I will tell you is I'm being very optimistic that schools will open. It's just Nick saying this. I have no inside trader information or anything, but I'm being very optimistic. I'm looking at it as maybe if casinos open up and the horse racing is opening up, maybe schools will open up. I mean, we did, so I am seeing more and more things opening up. It is alarming to see numbers though, what you're seeing in the news today, which scares you a little bit. But with that being said, we are planning. And we started probably several weeks ago having reopening meetings at the district level and reentry meetings at the building level every single week. And we've been reporting out. We broke it up into one giant committee with probably 15 committees within that encompass everything from curriculum to PPE to special education, technology, mental health, transportation, community school. And we broke them up into little subcommittees as well. And then they come back and they report back and we meet on a weekly basis. So even without that, we're still having great dialogue and we're still planning. We're looking at what other states are doing, all the articles and research that we're seeing, and we're still having these conversations. It's a little tough because we're doing it with nothing more than guessing at this point and just seeing what other people are doing. But it's important that we have these conversations and we start planning and that we meet on a weekly basis, even if it's for not a long period of time and we just check in with each other. It's important that we're having these meetings and we're discussing this. This is now the time that we need to talk. And graduation aside, our focus is on opening schools in September. And that's what all of our energy is going to be on at this point moving forward. So we're working on it. I was hoping that we were going to have information before tonight to maybe share with you tonight. But at this point, we're waiting on the edge of our seat like everybody else. In addition to that, I did walk both construction sites today. I started my day at TJ. I spent about an hour there, and then I went to Memorial and spent an hour there. It looks amazing. Everything's moving along on schedule. It looks beautiful, and I'm really pleased, and it's on time, which is really big. So everything's looking good. Been spending time there every week, and things are moving along. Last thing on this agenda, you will see Special Olympics funding for extended school year. I received a call from previous Assistant Commissioner of Education, who now is working with the Special Olympics, knew my background in special education, knew Camille and our special ed staff, and said that, we're looking to partner up with some school districts and provide some funding for extended school year. And you could use these funds, $10,000 at your discretion, just to get students more involved. You could use it for physical education, anything you choose that you want to write into your lesson plans. So you'll see an acceptance of $10,000 by the Special Olympics to Fairlawn. And it's just us opening that door to having a working relationship with the Special Olympics. And then hopefully this will increase in the fall for other programs as well, to hopefully bring special education students and general education students together in a spirit of working together. So we're excited about that. I think that's the right thing to do. So with that being said, I am going to open it up for public comments at this point, Ron.
I'm sorry. Yes? You open it up for public comments? Okay.
I'm on a meeting. I'm on a meeting right now. It's okay. Thank you.
Anything coming in, Nick?
No, nothing's coming in. Just making sure it's working too.
Anybody out in the public, you want to send in a question, feel free to do so right now on the agenda. We're taking public comments on the agenda. You know what, Nick? Why don't we leave it open? And I'll go to the board comments.
No, it's open. I just did it and it's going
No,
through.
I know, I'm just saying, but why don't we leave it open? Let's do the board comments, and then after we're done with that, we'll go back to public comments. And if we don't have any at that point, then we'll move on with the rest of the meeting. Is that okay? Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, nobody has a problem? Okay,
And I tested it, so it did go through, so the comments are popping up.
okay. All right, so I'm gonna open it up to the board comments on any agenda item. If you have a comment you want to make on any agenda item, just raise your hand. Emily, you're up.
I wanted to make a comment on one aspect of the superintendent's update, which I very much appreciated. On the topic of the committees for reentry and reopening, is there built into the structure for that a group that's looking at best practices for distance learning online in the event that we return in September, but numbers go back up, or everybody has to go into quarantine because there's a case in the schools, and the whole school has to, be home for 2 weeks or whatever.
Yes.
Is that included in part of the
Yes.
structure?
Yeah, that a lot of that falls under a scheduling committee. But yes, there's definitely people that we're looking at all different options. That's what we're being told too, to have many different options to look at, whether we're back on distance learning, even if it's 2-week periods, we're looking at everything.
I didn't see on the agenda, I didn't look at it super closely, but any obvious workshops for professional development on best practices for online teaching and learning. And I'm just wondering if that is at all an area where key people in the district are getting some training on best practices for online instruction.
Yeah, there's a million, right now, there's a million webinars and free things that everybody is pumping out and people are jumping on, but nothing that you have to register for, get board approved or put on the agenda. So I know that everybody's taking advantage and everybody's sharing them. So we're just constantly doing them all the time right now. And it's nothing that would need board approval because it's just free, no mileage. You're doing it from your couch or wherever you can. But there's a ton of different ones that we're all jumping on as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Anybody else with anything on the agenda? Vlad, go ahead.
Hello. First, Nick, I'm not sure how about others. I didn't have a chance to review agenda you sent yesterday. Would you be able to go maybe briefly what changed between 2 agendas ago and yesterday?
Okay, so the only thing that changed was there was a couple TBDs for the staff that we were looking to approve that we didn't have those names, so we took off. And the other 2 things that we took off were the homeless liaison stipend and an energy monitor stipend, because I want to just speak with the personnel committee about that and then circle back for the July board meeting. So that was it. So nothing was added. It was only taken off at this point.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 2 more things. First, the transfers report. I saw it in the May agenda. It's online. This is great. Thank you. Would you be able to also post transfer reports for the previous months when we had Zoom meetings, which would be, or the meetings without physical presence for the public? So that would be March and April. No, I'm sorry. Meetings held in March, April, and May, which means transfers for February, March, and April.
Where do you want them posted?
Online.
On our website?
Yeah. Just like, I think that the agenda that you posted for this meeting has transfers report.
Okay, if it's attached to the agenda?
Is it not?
It was attached to the agenda.
I mean, if it's attached to the agenda moving forward, I have no problem doing that. You want me to go back and add it to the old agendas?
Yes.
May I ask, like, why? I mean, is this what?
Because, sure. I believe back in February, we kind of discussed this and we decided that this should be a public document.
Yeah, we would have display copies. I remember.
Right. Mm-hmm. We had display copies, right?
Yeah, we spent an hour on 3 motions. I remember.
Yes, we had display copies. Now, when we don't have public present at the meetings, we can no longer have display copies. So pretty much the only way we can have a document public is by posting it online. There is no other way for us to have it public. We cannot have display copies anymore. So I think if we decided to make it public, then we should make it public, which is posted online.
Is this what the board wants me to go back and put the old transfers up on the old agendas? It's fine.
Is everybody on the board in agreement to that?
Well, can I ask you, how long is that gonna take you, Nick?
You know, I don't know. It's probably gonna take a couple hours because we're gonna have pull them, have secretaries scan them, upload them, go through the website. So
No, my opinion is going forward, fine. I don't see any reason to go backwards 3 months. It just, to me, it just seems unnecessary. I mean, it's transfers from February, you know, it is now June. So why is the administration going to spend time doing this when we've got opening schools, we've got to worry about ESY, we've got to worry about the construction, we've got to worry about the 5 to 8 programs. It just seems to me that there's better things for Nick to do with his time. That's my opinion.
I'll just add to that, that if anybody in the public does want to see those reports, rather than post them and go back and do it affirmatively, you can just make a request, an open request for it, and it's a public document.
I thought, because I don't think a lot of people, but that's fine. But Elise, you wanted to say something?
I was just gonna say that I was gonna ask, has anybody asked for those transfer papers? And I'm guessing the answer is no. So if we're gonna get it on our agenda, it's gonna automatically be posted. So if we're finally able to get it, obviously it appeared this month, so it's a thing and it'll happen every month. So from now forward, it's gonna be part of the agenda. So you got it to be part of the agenda. Now it's part of the agenda. You know, tomorrow is one thing, but to post last month's or 3 months ago, I think that's a ridiculous request, especially since nobody even asked for it.
Joe.
Go ahead, Vlad.
Is it as easy as sending email to who and just saying, I want this document per Oprah? Is it how it works?
Yeah, you'd have to make a request to Brooke as the custodian of records. Somebody would say, I want this document under Oprah, and then that would start the process.
there's a form on our website for you to fill out for an Oprah request.
Right, and we would, if they sent the email, you get the form in return. You have to fill the form out, but other than that, it's a 2-minute thing.
Okay, fine.
So you want to just go that way, Vlad?
Yeah, that's fine then. One person asked me for this. I can just tell her that she can go that route.
Yes, thank you.
Exactly.
Okay. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the soft borders policy is on the agenda here for the final
Second reading, correct?
second reading, right?
Second reading, yes.
Second and final reading to extend the policy. So last time we discussed it during the last monthly meeting, I was told that it's irresponsible to vote no on it. I would disagree. I think it is responsible. I was also told that I should think of students and not of voters, and I agree. This is indeed correct. My primary responsibility is the students, and I sincerely think that it is better for students to go to the school that is across the street from their house with their friends, as opposed to being driven on the other side of the town. That is why I'm going to vote no again on soft border policy.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mike?
I just want to say that as far as the soft borders policy, I'm just going to repeat what I said last month. First of all, Nick, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, they get put in as close to a school as possible, correct? And that all gets looked at, the distance between, when you're doing soft borders, that all gets looked at, the distance from their house to the school, correct? And a lot of time is spent,
Yes.
I believe a lot of time is spent actually on that in August. But
Yes.
Again, I'm just going to say that because of COVID-19, the whole reason for this is because of COVID-19. We had made a decision that we were going to add teachers and stuff because of COVID, but that might get put on hold because of COVID-19. And Nick has asked us just to extend it this year while we figure out what COVID-19 is going to do to us in September. And it makes sense to me that we would vote yes for it just to give Nick that tool. It's not that Nick wants anybody to be soft-bordered, and everything is going to be possibly done that could be done to not soft-border anyone. But if you don't have that tool in your pocket, then class sizes will most likely go up. And we don't want that either. And obviously, this whole board wants kids to go to their local school. So I'm voting yes for it, just to give the superintendent that tool that he's asked for, and it makes sense to me.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Wilkin is trying to get in, so Nick or Ronnie, please let him in.
You don't let him in, Nick does. I'm not hosting the meeting.
Sorry.
Nick, you gotta let Wilkin in. I texted Wilkin, he never responded back to me.
Go ahead, Emily. Sorry.
Go ahead, Emily.
Just to clarify, the only revision to the soft borders policy is that it no longer will sunset in July. It will sunset in December of this
Correct.
calendar year.
Correct.
Only thing
Correct.
and that there's an understanding that we're going to have a policy meeting in October to begin reviewing it, with the idea that we're going to have to vote twice on it before the end of the year if we indeed are going to change it, which I think there will be some changes at a minimum, it sounds like. I just want to say, I mean, I'll vote yes to extending it a couple of months given the uncertainty of the situation. I just want to say at this point that there's a good chance, I think, that there will remain uncertainty even 3 months from now, that we won't, the enrollment numbers this fall will be maybe a little bit unusual because families will choose to homeschool under the circumstances, or
It could be.
people are renting who aren't normally here. I mean, so at a certain point, we're going to have to take a value stance as a board and say, we think the disadvantages of soft border are great enough at this point that we're just going to find other ways to work around it, or we'll have to reintroduce it when we need it at a certain point, and not get to the point where where we are able to plan as much as we would under normal circumstances, but still need to do the right thing for Fair London and be able to move forward. So I'll be voting yes to extend it until the end of December, with the understanding that there is a lot of will on this board to have the policy go away by the end of this calendar year, and just waiting for a little bit more information before we do that.
Thank you. Elise.
I just want to say that as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to make any prejudgments about how I'm going to vote in December on whether or not soft borders might need to be extended till next September or not be extended. I think we should just wait and see. And I'm not sure the value judgment that Ms. Cohen is speaking about is the value judgment that everybody shares. It's what's best for the students in Fair Lawn. And if soft borders is the best for students in Fair Lawn, I'll be honest with you, I wish we had a soft border policy when my first child entered school. He was in a kindergarten class with 25 students, and Lindcrest had 2 sections of kindergarten with 12 kids in each section. So we wanted to take kids from our home school and bring them like a bucket of 6 to Lindcrest to even it out, and weren't allowed to do that because there was no policy that allowed it. So we had 25 students in a class and they had 12. So I think it works both ways, and I think we have to do what's right overall for the whole town and not for one neighbor that, happens to catch our ear and tell us that they don't like that they have to drive their kid to a different school. And I think once you start in a school, I know several people over the course of my board time that put their child in another school that was not near their house because they had grandparents in that area and they worked and they need their child to be picked up, and it was on an as needed basis. So those things have been going on where kids have not been in their home school, and those kids were not unsuccessful as they moved through school because they didn't go to school with their neighborhood kids. So I just wanted to put that out there.
All right, so we're all in agreement. Like I said,
There's no public comments either.
Okay, but just like I said, I understand where everybody's coming from. Never was in favor of the policy, but it was what we had to do. We have, at this point now, we have the referendum getting to start, and as Emily, you stated, you're correct. We don't know who's going to homeschool their children, so we don't know what the numbers are going to be like. So, like I said, right now we're just going to keep it till We're going to keep it to December, we are going to have a policy meeting in October, and we will again look at it. And like I said, anybody that comes up, even from the public, that has a better idea on it, that's feasible to all the students in Fairlawn, I'd be more than happy, as well as the rest of the board, to listen to it. Okay, at this time, there's no public comments, Nick?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go to the agenda. Okay, I need a motion for G1 to 2.
Point of order. Do we have board comments?
We just did the board comments. We just did them.
Can I be able to make my board comments?
Mr. Santana, I'm gonna let you make your board comments. You're limited to 3 minutes. That's it. Because we're moving on to the meeting.
It's okay. Continue with the agenda.
Okay.
You're limiting a board member to speak for 3 minutes.
Excuse me, I'm not limiting you. You came to the meeting late. We did board comments.
Actually,
Okay, I said to you, well, excuse me, I'm talking. I just said,
can you
if
please
want
be
to speak,
respectful?
I'm speaking to you respectfully. I said, if you want to speak, I'm giving you 3 minutes. Go ahead. I just said, go ahead. You got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I would like for the board secretary to make, when they take the minutes, make due notice thereof. I was under the impression that the meeting was at 7:30. I even asked, are we meeting at 7? And I was told the meeting is at 7:30. Even though the meeting was advertised at 7, I asked if the meeting was at 7:30, and I was given an affirmative answer. So
last night we said it was 7 o'clock. Last
that
night,
was the
we all said
reason for my attendance. And I've been on hold for almost 15 minutes trying to get in. All right, very quickly. I'm gonna be making a motion to amend the minutes on G1. There's an inaccuracy on them. The minutes on June 11th, a special action meeting on page 13, it shows all of us who voted no or abstain is also marked as voting yes. So that's a discrepancy that needs to be corrected. 6/11/20 special action meeting on page 13. And I will be making a motion when G1 comes. On G2 is to extend soft borders. Again, it's not only an issue to express the community, what the community wants, but on G2, on the second reading of the policy to extend soft borders, I believe the entire board should vote no. This is my opinion as a board member. Why? Because this policy was meant to be temporary, and because the community has expressed a lot of inconvenience, for lack of other word, with this policy. Many people who are selling their homes are suffering because of soft borders, and people also that have to send their kids to different schools. So I asked the entire board to vote no on extending soft borders. It is on the agenda. I want to congratulate all the graduating seniors that live here in Fairlawn. And I want to say this very briefly. If you were born overseas and English is not your second language and you're graduating, I am very proud of you. Also, if you had to work part-time during high school, or if your parents were splitting, or if you did not live with both of your parents, I'm very proud of you. If you qualify for free or reduced lunch in high school, I'm very proud of you. Know that you too can become anything you want in the future, even a member of the Board of Education. Follow your dreams and do not listen to anyone trying to minimize your career. And if anyone picks on your accent, like they did to me when I was in high school, please know you can become anything you want to become. Thank you, Mr. President.
Welcome. Okay, we're gonna move on to the board agenda.
Can I just make a clarification of the minutes?
Yes,
I'm
you
sorry. Wilkin, when we say yes, it's because the motion covers from P1 through P6. So if you vote no or if you abstain, we only note that in the no or the abstention column. So for instance, you did vote yes for P1 through P4, but perhaps wanted to vote no on just P5. So that's how the minutes are listed. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I think it will be for in the spirit of transparency, if the minutes can reflect what you just stated.
So you'd like to have in the yes column, yes, P1, P2, P3, P4, that, and then just showing the no's?
No.
Whenever there's something different is when we actually make a note of an abstention or a no vote.
Okay, if that has been the past practice,
Yeah.
and the board is okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify it so that everybody understands kind of how we mark that in the minutes. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add that every single district does it that way. So that if you vote yes on everything but one, it's marked as a yes, and then the but one is what's identified. So everybody does that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so,
Lad's hand is up.
what? Gee,
Lad's
yeah,
hand.
No, I was scratching my head.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Lad, I said.
Somebody just texted me. I don't know why she cannot find the place to ask a question, but she asked me to voice something here about the agenda.
What?
On page-
Wait, hold on.
well, hold on a minute, hold
Can we
on.
ask the attorney to jump in for a second, because we're moving on to G1 to G3.
Two, and now I'm back to
No.
public comments again.
I was going to say that there is a method for putting in public comments, and it's not to say anything about you, Vlad, or anybody who you're talking to. It's not to text individual board members. So we gave a 5-minute period of silence while we waited for people to come in, and they didn't do it.
Okay.
If you want to accept a public comment now, that's entirely on the board, but we're past that. We're up to agenda items.
Does the board want to accept the public comment?
Ron,
What, go ahead.
if it goes to Nick, yes, but I don't think that
Yeah, if it goes to
individual
Nick.
board members should be taking questions and
No.
bringing to us.
It's the-
But if it comes into Nick, I don't have a problem.
If the question goes to Nick, then that's
I've already closed that portion. When we,
Okay, then that's it.
it was open for literally probably a half hour.
I'm moving on. I'm
Maybe you
moving
can
on.
tell that person there's another public comment period later in the meeting.
Yeah, there's a public comment on new business. They can bring it up on that if they want.
Right, and you can make any public comment during that time anyway.
And they can
So,
send it to Nick.
send it to
okay.
Nick.
All right. Okay, can I have a motion on G1 and G2?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Franco,
Yes,
Mr. Itkin. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes on G1, no on G2.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes on G1, no on G2.
Mr. Spindell,
Yeah.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. I need a motion for S1 to 3.
So moved.
second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Franco,
yes,
Mr. Itkin,
Unmute yourself.
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana. Can you unmute yourself also,
Can
please?
you unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
Okay. Y- Yes, abstain on S3A.
Okay, Mr. Spindell,
Hey, one second. You know that's payment of tuition and transportation costs for kids to go to other schools. You understand that, right?
Yes, Mr. Barbaroto, I understand. I can.
I just want to make sure that you understood that, what it's for. Thank you.
Yes, I read it just fine. Thank you.
Just asking, that's all. Go ahead, Mr. Spindell.
Mr. Spindell, Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. I need a motion on E1 to 3.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen, Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Nick is, no, it's not, no, no. I need a motion on P1 to 6.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Can you call me last, please?
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
and Mr. Santana,
Yes.
and Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. I need a motion for SE 1 to 3.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. I need a motion for F1 to 6.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we're going to open up the meeting to public comments for new business. Anything they want to talk about.
All right, I tested it and it's working again.
Is, Vladimir, did that person send it to Nick now?
She says she cannot get in. I don't know why.
Well,
Let's try it again from another link.
It's working.
I'm trying it from another link too.
It is weird that nobody asking questions. We usually get at least one.
I'm telling, I just did it from 3 different devices and it popped up. If I could show you, look, oh, here you go. See a
I
question.
believe you. I believe you.
All right, it's coming. Can you put your name and your address with your question, please? Whoever just asked a question. Maybe it's there. I'll check. Okay, I got it. Dr. Lackatina, the question is about the REACH workshop and the revisions. Can you speak about what that is that they're working on?
Who sent this question, Nick?
I'm sorry, Robin Willens.
Okay, thank you.
We need to talk about fifth grade, moving to the middle school and what that fifth grade program is going to look like. And we always make adaptations to the schedule and sometimes the activities that we use, things like that. We're always constantly reflecting on what we've done the year before and then trying to improve upon it. There are no major changes being made.
Okay, so this one is from Olga Ginsburg. There's an error with the number of students that are being reported out at fourth grade Forest School. Can you please make a change to Forest 50th fourth grader since the beginning of January? I will certainly look into that and speak with the Forest principal and the community school and our registration about that and report back out. Thank you for pointing it out, and we will look into it. All right. All right. At this point, those are the only questions that came through besides my sample questions.
You want to leave it open for a couple more minutes?
We should probably, oh, here's one more. Erica Mulkey, this is, the address is Hawthorne now. So.
No, you're not answering anything. If it's from-
Oh, it's one of our teachers, correct? She's congratulating our Edison preschool graduates. She's a teacher writing and one of our teachers. So I took a second. I'm like, I know her. I'm so proud of each and every one who has worked so hard the last 2 years and made huge strides in their development. I know they will be successful in their future academics. One of our Edison preschool teachers.
Oh, awesome. Very good. Very good.
All right. That's it for now.
All right. All right, at this point, I'm going to go to board comments, new business. Mark. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
So about 3 weeks ago, we had a contentious meeting regarding the non-bargaining staff. And at that time, it was getting late. People were getting nudgy. They all wanted to get off of Zoom, I guess. And I wanted to ask a second question. When I asked that second question, I was admonished for doing it. And I held my composure and I just let it go. As the night went on, I reflected upon what occurred. And it dawned to me that I'm not the only one who is being admonished meeting after meeting. So the next week, I brought up, even though there was no section on board comments off of the agenda, I asked the president if I could speak on something. I was told, okay. And I started my conversation with, it pains me to have to discuss this and bring up the matter of civility. At that moment, I was cut off, admonished again. And not only that, I was mimicked by the response of, it pains me too, and we're not going that way. We're not going that direction. I want everybody to know that words hurt. The tone in which these words are said exacerbates the situation. And mimicking is just one further point which hurts. Now, you may think that I'm thick-skinned because of my age, but I'm not. It bothered me days and days, and it still bothers me today for my 2 incidents. Words hurt, and the tone in which you say them hurts more. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm saying there are individuals on our board who get yelled at week after week, month after month, and for whatever reason, they just take it. Maybe they're thick-skinned, I don't know. But I'm speaking up for everybody who has been in this situation. We have trustees on this board who campaigned, as I did, went door to door, as I did, and listened to the public and what they wanted to see in the way of changes, if possible. Every single board member, all 9 of us, know that our primary responsibility is for the students. That's unquestionable. But we also do want to listen to what our community is saying. So when questions are asked, and when people think that these questions are foolish, they respond negatively to them. When requests are made, they may respond negatively to those also. But I want you to know that whoever is requesting something, whoever is speaking, asking about something, it is not foolish to them. Otherwise, they would not be asking it. We need to respect everybody's opinion, whether you feel that way or you don't feel that way. And when we take a vote, and the vote is 6-3, 5-4, as it usually is, the majority doesn't have to be necessarily always correct. It's just that you have more members who think that way. But in reality, the minority might be correct. And it does pain me that I'm talking this way because I know that I may be insulting certain individuals to whom I do not want to insult, but I need to put this out for everybody to hear. Words hurt. You can't take back things that you say, nor the tone of expression that you use when you say them. And I'm wondering why people tune in, listen to the live streaming of our meetings. I'm wondering, are they doing it for the sole purpose of finding out educational things that are happening in Fairlawn? Or are they doing it because it's a new reality show where people are made fools of and they're enjoying it for that hour or 2 hours in which the meeting lasts? Words hurt. I know they've hurt me, and they also hurt the others that are taking it and not saying anything about it. I'm just hoping that in the future, we could take things more seriously, hold our comments to ourselves, try not to get any more aggravated, because anybody who is saying something on this board is saying it because they believe in it. They're not saying it to waste time or to aggravate anybody, although they may be, for whatever reason. They're saying it because either they're listening to the people in the community or they're listening to themselves, and this is how they feel. Now, I'm not looking for any commentary once I stop. All I'm asking is that please, let's be civil to one another, no matter how hard it is, no matter what it takes from all of us, because words hurt, and the way you say them is more hurtful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody else? Mike?
I agree that words hurt.
You have to unmute yourself because you're all muted.
I'm not muted.
Mike's not
Everyone
muted.
can hear me?
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Well, Mike's
I
not
don't know
muted.
why, 'cause
He's not
I
muted.
can hear him.
I can hear him.
I'm muted.
Go ahead, Mike.
Ron, I can't hear anything.
Well,
Michael, I
don't know
can't
why.
hear.
Mark,
I don't know.
Mark, it's got to be your computer because I can hear Mike. Can you hear me, Mark?
I can hear Mike
I
too.
can't hear.
Can
Mark,
everybody
can you
hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Mark, can you hear me?
Put your thumb up, please.
I can hear you, Mike.
All right.
Mark, it's got to be your audio.
Ron, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you, yes.
I
but
can't hear anything that's being said.
Well, it's
I don't
got to
know
be
why.
your.
I unmuted.
No, but it could be your audio.
It's unmuted.
I know, it could be your audio.
Check if.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mike. I'll text him. Go ahead,
All
Mike.
right. Anyways, I agree with a lot of what Mark said. I'm not going to go over what Mark said. I've been on both ends of that for sure, because I do say my piece.
I don't know why, but I still don't hear anybody.
But I think, can you please mute Mark though, for the time being, so I could talk?
Nick, you guys do it.
I did. I muted him.
All right. So, I agree that it gets contentious and it shouldn't. Okay. I think I try and make my comments to be my comments as a
I'm
member
sorry, but I don't hear anything.
as a member of this board. And I take the students of our community, all the students of our community, very seriously. I take this job very seriously. There are times when certain members of the board just go on and on about something, and most of our votes are not 5-4 and 6-3. Most of our votes are 9-0 or 8-1. Most of our votes are not 6-4, 5-4 or 6-3. And a lot of times, if it is going to be that way, some people abstain. So people have to be able to say their piece, but just follow the rules that we set forth, because what's happening is the community is looking at us. If they're looking at us as a reality show, they're looking at us because they feel that we're dysfunctional. And we've been a master board for a lot of years now. And I actually am sorry the way it's going, and people feel that there's people, I talk to a couple board members. There isn't many board members I talk to on a regular basis. I talk to them as friends, and I can't say I never bring up board stuff with other people, but it's not on a usual basis. So we're all colleagues. We need to get along. That's it. Oh, and just while I have the floor, congratulations to not just the high school class, but congratulations to Memorial Middle School kids moving up, TJ Middle School. I watched their moving up ceremony today, and it was it was a little comical, and it was fun. All the elementary schools, 4th and 5th graders moving up. Nick, you guys did a great job putting that all together, and please thank the principals and the PTAs and everybody that was involved in putting those all together.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else on new business? Wilkin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe what we want to see in our children is what I would like to see as a board member for this board. I would like to see empathy. I would like to see creativity. I would like to see collaboration, and I would like to see problem solving in our board. And I'm not seeing a lot of that. That's my point of view. I agree with Mr. Spindell 100% in everything he said. We are all here for the children. We all care.
Hey, Mark, you're on speaker so you can hear it.
Thank you.
We are elected by the community and we speak for the community. Whether you got elected with one vote or with 5,000 votes, like myself, we are truly equal, like all of us. We are all equal, but some of us are not treated equally on this board. Some of us are not talk equally. Some of us are not even look equally. Some of us, when some of us speak, some board members make really insulting remarks. And like Mr. Spindell stated, it hurts. You know, we don't want to see our children being bullied. How about the board stops bullying board members who do not share your point of view? Because we have community members who've been in Fairlawn for 5-10 years, and we have board people who've been in this town for 40 years. Everybody is welcome. Even if you do not agree with me, I welcome you not agreeing with me, and I respect you if you think different than me. And this is what I would like to see in this board. And when people say we have a fractured board, we do not have a fractured board. We have board members that do not tolerate opinions that are different than yours. And that's the definition of ignorance. Now, I would like to know if the shared services and special education committees, if they have an upcoming meeting, and if they do, I would like to know when and they can share the agenda. We are paying a lot of money sending students out of the district. Some of our special needs students that go out of district. The taxpayers are sending a lot of money, spending a lot of money on this. And I would like to request if the special needs committee and the finance committee can look into the cost without jeopardizing the quality of the education the children are receiving. But if we can look at any way we can minimize the cost, because I believe it's through the roof. The cost we spend to send some students out of district, to see if we can save money bringing them to the district if it's possible. I would like to also request from the special needs committee if they can look into the therapies. There's a lot of controversy about the therapies the students are entitled to receive according to the REP during the distance learning time. So this is all new territory, and you know I don't think the law even. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think IEPs were written at a time when distance learning was included in IEPs. So there are people I have read that a lot of these therapies that were not done, if they were not done in person, that there are some issues with that. And I would like the special needs committee to look into that in a proactive fashion.
Point of order, is that our purview, or is that the special ed that's driven by IEPs, and that wouldn't be the Board of Education?
That's why I wanted the committee to look into it.
I don't think it's the Board of Ed's purview. That's my point of order.
These are IEP driven decisions, but I will I've never seen the board get involved in that. I mean, if you want the board to discuss about creating in-district programs, you know, sorry, Mark, there's feedback and you on speaker.
Fine, I can hear something.
But that's okay. But I'm gonna you know, turn it over to Mr. Roselli, but I'm also gonna give it to Camille DeFranco. Did you want to say something, Camille?
Yes, I just wanted to speak to therapies and that portion of Mr. Santana's comments for the Special Education Committee. As of the beginning of April, virtual therapies were allowed to be part of a student's IEP, meaning that the format of that therapy could be provided in a virtual manner for all speech, OT, PT, counseling, and also other behavioral kind of therapies, which we were able to translate into IEP services for students. Yes, it was a bit of a learning curve for all of us to be able to translate into that format, but we had a lot of success with it. We had speech therapists and OTs and PTs develop classrooms and materials for teachers to draw upon and schedule all of those sessions for our students. This could continue, and we are always looking at ways to improve how to enhance that kind of format for therapies, but it has been approved. So I just wanted Mr. Santana to know that that was a bona fide option as provided by the state and federal government to allow those kind of therapies, just as virtual medical therapies are now allowed. It follows in suit with that kind of format.
Wow, good. If the district can share that information with the board, you know, I would really appreciate it. What the district received from the state, that would be very useful. Very quickly.
Can the board attorney just rule on what my point of order that is not a something that the board would get into the weeds on?
Yeah, I was actually just going to say, you know, we always have the right to ask Camille and Nick, you know, what are the programs, or, you know, how are they run, or things like that. But when you're talking about IEP driven items, this is probably the only area where the board has no say whatsoever in. It's delegated to the child study team to come up with what's an appropriate thing for the IEP, and we have to go along with that. It's not even like, you know, you can say, well, I think we have a goal to reduce out-of-district placements, or we have a goal to do this or that, and how can we do that? That's a fair question, but anything else to say, you know, this is, I don't agree with this or anything like that, we can't do. Everybody always talks about it, but it's just outside of our purview. That's really a question for the child.
I'll give you an example. For example, you often see a lot of people, when merit goals came out, you saw superintendents or directors of special services, whoever received merit goals, tried to say, we're going to reduce the number of out-of-district students we have and bring them back to district, and they got shot down right away. They said nothing should be based off of, you know, making decisions for a student with disabilities shouldn't be based off of how much money you can save. It should be based off what's appropriate and what's right for them. So you kind of don't want to co-mingle the two things, but as Joe said, you know, programming and stuff like that, fair topics for a committee, but basing it off of how bringing kids back to save money, it gets a little dicey. So we just have to watch what we discuss and what we don't discuss. But we will let you. We have a special ed committee and a shared services committee.
Yes, I fully agree with that. Fully noted. I would like to very quickly. I know I brought it up before, but I have not heard anything back. You know, we have in Fairlawn. Fairlawn is a very diverse community. We have many small businesses in town. Printing shops, restaurants, accountants, property managers, landscapers. I brought at the last meeting a topic very, very close to my heart. I wanted the finance committee to look into having a set-aside program for small businesses in town, you know, women-owned business, small business, minority business, a set-aside program, so we can also offer contracts to small businesses in town. A lot of money that a lot of money in the district goes to very large corporations, and outside of corporations, we have you know, many businesses suffering here. And if the district can create a set-aside program to allow small businesses in town, you know, women-owned, most small businesses are owned by women, women-owned business, minority-owned businesses, so we can also allow them to compete for business with the school district in a way that is legal, ethical, and appropriate. And I asked the finance committee to look at, but I never got a response. And it's been a month since I asked that in a public meeting, is there any way that, Mr. Barolo?
I'll respond back to you.
Yes.
Joe, did you want to say something?
I was just gonna say that, I understand, Wilkin, the idea that you're raising.
I know the state of New Jersey allows it and has it statewide, so I know it's legal.
But it's not legal for a lot of things that we can do. So we're subject to purchasing laws that are different than what the state of New Jersey is subject to. They have, specific school purchasing laws that Brooke has to follow whenever we contract with anything. So you can't say, just because I'm going to set aside this amount of money for a minority-owned business, if they're not the lowest price, if there's a bid quote threshold or something, we're not allowed to go with those things. So we are constrained by laws and a lot of the things that we do when it comes to those we are talking to do. So are there ways to do it? Yes and no, but we just have to be really careful with how we contract with anybody, much less putting aside money to contract with specific businesses, because
Can you put me down?
Brooke has, she has to make sure she does it the right way, because not only, her own license is at stake, my license, and then the district's,
Nice.
everything. So we have to just be really careful with something like that. It's not just something, that's easily done.
Yeah, that's why I asked the committee to look into it. I know.
Well, I'll respond back to you about the committee. We were working on a few other things that were more important at this time for the end of school year, the beginning of school year, for reopening schools. We had a bunch of conversations about different things, also talking about the referendums. So when I get a chance to have another meeting, I will call it and we'll bring it up. But I will say this, there are a lot of local businesses. I know a lot of pizzerias that we get for special occasions that they use there, and there are some, but as Joe said, there's a lot of stuff. You have to be actually registered with the state to actually bid with school districts. And I know for a fact, because as an independent contractor myself, I was at one point registered with the state of New Jersey to bid schoolwork, because you have to be. So even though you set it aside, it doesn't automatically mean it, but I have no problem, with the committee. We will look into it and we will report back to you. But it's probably not going to be for at least about till next month's meeting, because, with the summer, we're going to try to get some other things that are more prioritized right now with this opening of schools and the referendum. Are you done?
Just one sentence.
I got you, Emily.
Just one sentence. I really appreciate it, Mr. Barbarulo. And I know, that our number one priority is the students. But if we can find a product or a service that is, great quality and good price, and also help our small businesses, that's a win-win. Thank you.
I agree with you. No problem. Okay, I have now Elise. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
I was gonna say something like what Ron said. If a business wants to do business with the school, they actually have to fill out special papers. You can't just do business with the school. But I was just gonna say the health department has taken care of the pizza thing, because if you have a pizza party in a school, or like they used to have the Friday pizza, the schools can't order pizza unless the pizza is from a Fair Lawn business, because the health department checks Fair Lawn businesses. And so even if your dad owns a pizza parlor in Saddlebrook, he can't supply this school with pizza because the Fair Lawn Health Department doesn't check the Saddlebrook pizza parlors. So, I mean, that's just one thing, but I think that it's from the business side. They have to be willing to do the paperwork in order to, like if you're a plumber, you have to be willing to file that paperwork to put bids in, because schools do stuff by bid. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. Dean.
Yeah, real quick, I agree. I think we should look into with the finance committee, but I don't think it should be next month. There is so much going on right now. You've got the referendum, you've got the reopening of schools, you've got the 5 to 8 program in the middle schools. I don't have a problem looking at it. I don't have a problem with the finance committee looking at it. But I think we have to get our priorities straight, which is to get the schools reopened, to make sure that we're ready in September, that we have plans in case something falls apart again in September. I think that has to be our focus right now. I don't think we can, start it's not a bad idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I don't mind doing it at all. But I just think we have to have our priorities straight, which right now there's a ton on the administration's plate, there's a ton on the board's plate, and I think at this point in time, June 24th or whatever this is, it's not the time to do it. I could see after school's open, maybe things get back to normal a little bit, we know what's going on, then we can do it. But I just don't see it as an urgent item that has to be dealt with right now. Thanks.
Thank you. Cindy?
I just wanted to say about the bidding process, for being in the accounting firm that audits school districts. I know there's a very, very intricate and long process when they come in for the audit, checking the purchase orders and the bid thing. And if there is an infraction, like the lawyer was saying, it does go against Brooke, but it also is a comment on your audit report, which causes a whole host of other issues. So the laws are very strict and they're very different. I mean, Staples is having a sale one week, but unfortunately we are not able to take advantage of that because we're, held by standards that are put out by the Department of Education. And it is part of the audit process that they make sure that every single process is followed and that the bid threshold is not exceeded. And stuff like that. So it is a long and tedious process.
Thank you. Emily, you're up.
Okay, thanks. So I just want to say thank you to Mark for speaking his truth. I appreciate those comments. I want to say from my perspective, there's one very simple thing that the board can do to make it more civil, and that's just please don't yell at each other. If there was yelling in my workplace, yelling in my home, I would have zero tolerance for it. We should have zero tolerance for this board. There shouldn't be yelling. So as simple as that, that will make things better, I think. I also think this board needs to recognize that we've spent a lot of time as a group trying to make progress on procedures and structure to kind of help us all focus our individual actions and work more as a team. And you can see in this meeting just right now alone, we've kind of taken 2 steps backwards. So I just want to remind everybody of things that we've kind of discussed long and hard to set some ground rules that we're not even following right now in the hopes that we can do better in the future. One is every board member should have 1 turn and then a second turn. First turn to speak, you get 5 minutes. Second turn to speak, you get 3 minutes. We should follow that. I think it will help considerably. Second of all, if you have agenda items to include on committees, we have talked about, you send it in writing to the committee chair. They should respond and do everything possible to get it on. I think it's fine, looking, you didn't hear a response on a timely fashion, you brought it up. It should be between you and the committee chair. We don't need to talk about the special procedure now in Finance Committee because we just had a full board discussion on it, which undercuts the purpose of having a committee, which is really the small group of the board that should be talking about things first and then bringing forth a recommendation, or telling the board that there wasn't time on the agenda because there are other things and they plan to, look at it at some future dates. So we have to use our committees better, I think, as a group in order to avoid some of the larger group, a lot of talking, but not feeling like we're really getting forward momentum. I would also say that we haven't had a special education committee meeting this year yet, so I don't know the specifics of what we need to talk about, but I'm sure there are things, and again, we should be using our committees more than we do in order to work together as a team. And then the final thing I'll say, and this is really hard for me personally, but I will just remind myself and everybody else that we really need to let the president specifically run the meetings, and we shouldn't be interrupting each other, and we should have the president run the meetings as the president, and have to wait our turn to be called on before we speak. And there shouldn't be a back and forth discussion between the president and other board members, or between the lawyer and other board members. It really should be, say your piece for 5 minutes on your first turn. People look into it, get back to you later, or they say something on their next turn in response. But if we're not following that kind of order, we're going to continue to have a lot of talk and not a lot of forward movement. So I just want to remind everybody to think about those structures that apply to all of us equally as we try to do better as a group.
Thank you, Emily. Vladimir, do you want to speak? Okay, I didn't know if you had your hand up before, so I wasn't sure. So, all right. That's it then. Anybody else?
Cindy.
Cindy, go
Cindy.
ahead. I see her. Good, Cindy.
I just wanted to thank Mark for saying what he felt. I couldn't agree more with you that words hurt. Writing hurts, words hurt, and I don't think that I will change my opinion, that I feel that the board is fractured, and it has nothing to do with disagreeing with what is going on. I don't think that we're putting things forward. I think we're just going around in a circle like a hamster wheel. And I said last night, and yeah, I might have gotten a little loud. When I get emotional, I do. I'm not yelling at, but my voice raises. And I will apologize for that. But I was going to bring up tonight about having a board retreat outside of New Jersey school boards to see if we could rectify the situation. But in reflecting on it for the last couple of monthly meetings, I've decided that I don't think it would do any good at all. I just don't. If I thought that it would do good, I would be right there with it. But I don't think we're going to accomplish anything. I don't know what the answer is. I really wish that we could do something because I really think that eventually this is going to hurt the children. Which is why we are here. And I did say that last night, and I firmly believe that with my whole heart and soul. I do think that there's issues with what we are allowed to do as board members and what we're not allowed to do as board members. And I think that there's a disconnect, that it's taken the wrong way. If it's not part of what our role of a board member is, it's taken the wrong way. I mean, I just don't know what else to do for this board or about this board, but I'm up at night. I'm very sensitive, and can't tell you how many times I'm in tears when I leave these meetings because of the hard decisions that we make, but also because of the way we are all with each other. There's absolutely no trust, and it pains me to see our superintendent so dedicated to this district, new and on fire for the district, and is almost going through so many things in his head, trying to decide, well, if I do it this way, am I going to get pushback? We should be encouraging him. And I'm not saying rubber stamp him. Of course, we have to ask questions. That is our role. It's not our role. Our role is to oversee. It's not to run. And I'm not going to get into that. But my heart goes out to Nick, because I do believe that he has the best interest of not only the students, but he's got the best interest of his staff, of his central office, of the community leaders that he meets with. He's always out there. I can remember us bringing up, we were laughing about it actually down at New Jersey school boards, because he couldn't walk an inch without somebody coming up and saying hello to him. Everybody knows who Nick is. There's a reason why everyone knows who Nick is. So I just want to remind myself as well that words do hurt to each other, but think of what they do to the head of our school system when he thinks that he's being ripped apart. Maybe it's justified and maybe it's not, but maybe we should just take a step back and just reflect on what we're actually doing. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to having a board retreat. I know our master board ship is going to go down the tubes, because I don't believe that anybody is interested in continuing that. And, you know, I don't have a problem if that's what the majority wants to do. I was hoping that we would be able to maintain the credits to keep it, because I thought it was a good thing for our district, and it brought us together. But I think we're just too apart right now to move things forward. So if anybody has a great suggestion on how we could once and for all make it better, I'm open. But I just don't know what to do or to say anymore. So I probably will keep quiet.
Thank you. All right. Mark, I appreciate your comments. I understand them. but it does have to go, both ways. Because every person on this board is guilty of what you talked about, every person. So I don't want to hear anybody say that they're not, everybody is. Number one reason we're here is the children. Okay, not the voters, not the people that put us in, the community, but the children are number one, to make sure they get the best education in the safest environment. Okay, and we're all about cost, but education costs money. But the biggest thing is we have to trust in our administration. Can we question them? Absolutely, that's our job. But if we question them on every little thing that they do, then they're going to start double thinking themselves and doubting themselves. And that's not what you want your main administration to do. There are laws in place, govern schools, not like they do in corporate world, not like they do on the state level, not like they do on the municipal level. It's a different world. If you read some of the stuff in the school board notes and all the other stuff that they send out, you'll see that. Okay, so going forward, Emily, I really appreciate what you stated before. Yes, you can use your committees. Okay, as far as me not getting back, sometimes things get a little crazy. And I'm not going to lie, people. I have a business, I teach, I do a lot of different things. I handle my responsibilities to this board. But I'm not going to be, if I didn't get back to somebody within 3 days or a month or something, for one particular reason, most of the time I get back to everybody. It just happens. Time gets away from me. Every day gets away from me. Okay, so anyway, Mike, you got 3 minutes. Okay, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hello. Okay. I just want to agree with Cindy and Ron. The biggest thing that I want to see, that I would like to see, that people, that we think about as a board, as a whole board, me included, is some of the way we go about asking Nick certain questions, because we have a very capable superintendent, as Cindy said, and I think sometimes we actually get really close to him having an unfair situation because of some of the nitpicking that we all do. And again, we're all part of certain things, and we have to remember that Nick is the one who runs the district. We oversee Nick, but Nick is the one that runs the district. And as Cindy said, he well, we'll talk about that later, but he I want Nick to be able to run the district. That's it.
Okay.
Vlad.
I got him, Nick. I got him. I want to set the timer. Go ahead. Go ahead, Vlad, you're up.
Mark, I just want to say thank you for your speech. That's it.
Thank you, Vlad. All right. Being we have no more comments, we're going to move on. And at this point, we have one meeting scheduled, July 2020. It's to be determined. We don't know yet. So it'll get out as soon as possible. And at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into closed session. We're not coming back out to public because we have nothing to vote on. So I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Okay. Brooke, did you get that?
Second.
Brooke, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, I heard Mike. I didn't hear the second. Was it Elise?
Elise.
Oh, Emily. Okay.
Emily, yeah, that's fine.
A little break before we meet.
Yes, we're going to take 5 minute. What, Nick?
No, I just wanted the central office. I don't need any central office administrators for closed session. I got it.
All right.
Night.
Have a good summer, central office.
All right.
Can I just,
Bye, see you next
Emily,
month.
can I just say one thing? I'm sorry, Emily, you have to review the bills list and respond.
Oh, okay, I'll take care of it by
Okay.
evening.
All right.
All right.
Also, just everybody, Nick sent you a second Zoom meeting for the closed session. So you're going to get off of this meeting, then you're going to come back in within 5 minutes. Okay? And we're starting in 5 minutes. So if you're not on, I'm going to start the meeting. Okay? All
Stay
right.
healthy,